On August 15, 1947, we attained independence. Alongside, the great ancient land of Bharat was partitioned on communal lines. On the one hand, when the Congress leadership and the Muslim leadership were preparing themselves for independence and taking over the rulership, British colonialists led by Lord Mountbatten were trying to execute the India's Independence Act hurriedly. Many parts of Akhand Bharat were witnessing riots, mayhems, murders and inhuman crimes against women. Gandhiji was taking tours in eastern parts of Bharat. The second Sarsangh Chalak of Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh, Shri Golwalkar Gurji, was travelling in the western part, which constitute Pakistan now. RSS was running many refugee camps. Muslim League leaders were busy not just preparing for Pakistan, but also instigating communal frenzy mobs on the ground. A book by researcher and author Shri Prashant Pol tried to put together developments of this fortnight of August 1947 in his book, which is one of the best sellers, called Wo 15 Din, which is translated as Those 15 Days. This year, Organiser is taking you through the developments of those 15 days, going through the most happening 15 days towards Bharat's independence alongside the communal partition will provide new insights to the viewers and inspire them to take up research on various aspects of conversations, communications and negotiations, as well as the kind of communal frenzy things happening on the ground about India's independence and the great partition of this land. August 9th, 1947. Sodepur Ashram. The ashram situated on the northern side of Calcutta. A bit on the outskirts of the city, about 8 to 9 miles. Very enchanting, surrounded by trees, this Sodepur Ashram was very dear to Gandhiji. He even went on to say, "This ashram matches my dearest Sabarmati ashram," when he visited the place last time. There was a buzz in the ashram since early in the morning. Even otherwise, the ashram mates usually got up early in the morning. In addition, Gandhiji was coming to stay in the ashram. Preparations for this visit were afoot in the ashram since about a week. Cleaning took place on a daily basis, but that day was something special because Bapu was coming to stay. Satish Babu particularly was brimming with enthusiasm. Satish Babu's full name was Satish Chandra Das Gupta. He had a suitable job, the first chemical company of India, the Bengal Chemical Works. It was founded by Acharya Sir Praful Chandra Ray, who was a superintendent there. Being a scientist, he would conduct his experiments also. When his wife Hemprabha and himself came into contact with Gandhiji, everything changed. Satish Babu left his well-established job in 1921, to be precise, and raised this beautiful ashram a bit outside of Calcutta. Satish Babu and Hemprabha Didi stayed in the ashram itself. Hemprabha Didi had been considerably influenced by Gandhiji. That's why she gave away very early on whatever gold she had to Gandhiji's movement. Satish Babu never felt bad about this. Rather, he was full of pride. Satish Babu carried out many experiments in this ashram. He was basically a scientist. Moreover, he was overwhelmed by Gandhiji's Swadeshi industry. He made a cheap and easy oil press in the ashram. Also, small factory for making paper from bamboo was set up in the ashram. Paper made from this pulp was not very smooth, but one could write on it. It was workable and looked good. Not only Satish Babu prepared stationery in the ashram, but also sold it outside to some extent. Satish Babu knew that Gandhiji loved this ashram. He often came and stayed there for about a month every year or in a year and a half. Many prominent leaders would come to meet him in the ashram that acquired a sort of holy significance in his company. Satish Babu remembered the meeting with Subhash Babu some 7-8 years ago in 1939. Gandhiji, Subhash Chandra Bose and Nehru, just three of them were there. The Tripuri Congress session had concluded recently. Subhash Babu was the president of the session, elected much against Gandhiji's will. Other Congress workers too had troubled him a lot. That meeting was arranged to find a solution to the same issue immediately after the session got over. However, there was no solution, and instead Subhash Babu left the Congress. Howsoever devoted Satish Babu may have been towards Gandhiji, he was pained at this. Satish Babu tried to get over his disappointment. It was time for Gandhiji to arrive. The sun had risen a bit early in Calcutta. By 4:45 a.m., daylight had seeped in. Gandhiji was expected to reach the ashram within an hour's time. In faraway Delhi, the Hindu Mahasabha Bhavan on Mandir Marg was teeming with activity early in the morning. The president of Mahasabha, Dr. N.B. Khare, had arrived only a day earlier at Delhi from Gwalior. This Dr. Khare was a striking personality. Basically, he belonged to Congress and was Congress' first chief minister of Central Province in 1937. However, Dr. Khare belonged to Tilak's group, Tilak's ideas, and belonged to what was called as the extremist group. Congress's politics of appeasing Muslims did not appeal him. He would profess his stand in this regard publicly, which Nehru and Gandhi did not like. Therefore, Gandhiji called him to Sevagram and told him to resign from the post of chief minister. At this, Dr. Khare casually told Gandhiji, "I am a bit disturbed now. Please write a draft for me." Seeing that Dr. Khare had consented very easily, Gandhiji willingly wrote the draft for Dr. Khare's resignation on a piece of paper in his own handwriting. Dr. Khare took that paper, rose calmly and left for Nagpur by car. Seeing this, Gandhiji cried from behind, "Hey, what are you up to? Where are you going?" However, Dr. Khare reached Nagpur. He got the resignation in Gandhiji's handwriting published in the newspapers of Nagpur and showed people how Gandhiji had himself forced a chief minister to resign. Dr. Khare was then the national president of Hindu Mahasabha. He was assisted by an imposing personality like Pandit Mauli Chandra Sharma. Pandit Sharma too had belonged to the Congress once. He was a representative during the roundtable conferences in London in 1930 and 1931. However, he was disappointed with Congress policy of Muslim appeasement and joined the Hindu Mahasabha. Tatarao Savarkar was also present in the Hindu Mahasabha Bhavan, which was why everyone was elated. The Hindu Mahasabha Central Committee's meeting started exactly at 9 a.m. after completing breakfast. The meeting discussed the already announced points of the Hindu Mahasabha Executive Committee. The demand for giving full rights to the citizens of divided India was put forth, but the Muslims in India would have the same position as that of the Hindus in the proposed Pakistan. The functions of Hindi-speaking regions would be carried out in Hindi, having the Devanagari script. In other provinces, the medium of education would be the local language and script, but the national language would be Hindi, which should be acceptable in the administrative and judicial system. In addition, many other demands, including compulsory military education, were made. The participants explored different aspects so that Hindus could lead a dignified life in divided Hindustan at least. This was happening at Hindu Mahasabha Bhavan on Mandir Marg of Central Delhi. It was August 9th, Saturday, a next day of Jummah. It was just a second morning for Jinnah in his beloved to be created Pakistan. The expansive bungalow in Karachi acted as the temporary residence for him. Number of things were going on simultaneously in Jinnah's head. What would be the form of new Pakistan? What would be the judicial system? What would be the national flag like? What would be the national anthem? And so on and so forth. And visibly intrigued at his thoughts, Barrister Muhammad Ali Jinnah wondered how all other things had been thought of deeply, but no discussion had taken place on the national anthem, or what is called in Pakistan as Qaumi Tarana. It was just 5 days away for Pakistan to come into reality. While in Delhi, Jinnah had bookmarked compositions by a few poets. He suddenly remembered that one particular name among them was that of Jagannath Azad. Originally a Punjabi Hindu from Lahore, Azad had tremendous command over Urdu. He was a kafir, an infidel, but be it so. What more could one want than a good song in Urdu? Therefore, he decided to call Azad to write the Qaumi Tarana of Pakistan. Azad had been asked to come from Lahore the previous afternoon and should have reached by then. Jinnah called his ADC and asked, "Has anyone by the name of Jagannath Azad come from Lahore?" Azad had already arrived since the morning. Jinnah asked him to usher Azad inside. Jagannath Azad, a youth of barely 30 years. Jinnah assumed that someone who paints such profound poetry would be at least in his 50s. Overcoming his surprise, he asked Jagannath to take a seat. He exchanged pleasantries and asked him if he had any song with him that could be used as the Qaumi Tarana of Pakistan. Jagannath Azad did not have any such song ready with him. However, he had an idea of such a composition. He started narrating, "Eh Sarzami Pakistan." Yes, this was it. Jinnah liked this composition extremely, and it was decided that a song written by a kafir would be made the Qaumi Tarana of Watan-e-Pakistan. August 9th, Saturday. The day was very tense, at least for Amritsar. A large number of Muslims resided in Amritsar city and district. News of riots continued to flow in from the villages across the border. Therefore, Sikhs, Hindus and Muslims were highly enraged. The Sikhs had deputed the fierce Nihangs to keep vigil around the sacred Gurudwara. They did not want the holy pond in the Gurudwara defiled by the blood of Muslims. The Amritsar police surrounded the Tanga near Amritsar railway station at about 11:30-12 noon. A large number of plainclothes policemen were present. They had received a tip about a possible attack by the Pathan leader Muhammad Saeed. He was a master in carrying out massacres. Following the tip, the police apprehended him. Yes, it was him, Muhammad Saeed. Different types of weapons, leaflets written in Urdu, and some hand grenades were found with him. Muhammad Saeed, who had been sent to carry out a dreadful massacre, was arrested at Amritsar station. Elsewhere in Delhi, there was not much movement at the residence of Sir Cyril Radcliffe. Work was on to collect the innumerable documents spread in 3-4 rooms of the bungalow and store them systematically in boxes. Most of Sir Sahib's work was over. The line of partition between India and Pakistan had already been earmarked. Sir Sahib was unable to decide whether he had done justice or injustice in doing so. Justice for one was injustice in another side. However, the line of partition was ready after taking into consideration all the objections. Radcliffe had held talks with Viceroy just that very morning. To declare the line of partition in the charged atmosphere was to add fuel to fire. Fierce riots were likely to erupt because of that, and which would be accompanied with more slaughters. It was necessary to put a full stop to it right then. Therefore, it was decided that the details of the partition would be announced 1 or 2 days after independence. It was certain that Sir Radcliffe's blood pressure was not going to stabilize within the next 8 to 10 days. In the Hyderabad of Deccan, Nizam Usman Ali Khan of Hyderabad, princely state, was holding discussion with his Diwan. He wanted to send a letter immediately to Jinnah. He wanted help from about to be created Pakistan in preserving Hyderabad state's independence. The Nizam signed the letter written in chaste Urdu by his Diwan and sent it off through a special envoy to Karachi. A Muslim princely state about the size of Italy and lying exactly in the heart of divided India that was to be independent within a week was striving to remain independent and autonomous. Far, far away in the east, elsewhere in Singapore, the duty hours of government employees had got over. Otherwise also, the government offices did not function throughout the day on Saturdays. The government employees collected in their union's office situated in the Marina Bay area of Singapore. They drafted a letter to be given to the Principal Secretary of Singapore government. As August 15 fell on a Friday, the government and other offices did not have a holiday. On August 15, their beloved country, India, was to attain freedom. All these Indians wanted to celebrate this day as kind of festival. So they wanted a holiday on August 15th. They were engaged in drafting a letter to place in their demand for a holiday. The atmosphere in Amritsar city and district was highly charged because word has spread on the arrest of Muhammad Saeed by the police. The Muslims were fuming with anger at the news and had started pelting stones on the houses of Hindus and Sikhs since the afternoon. By evening, the riots had spread throughout the district. The National Guard of Muslim League were in the forefront of such attacks. In Jabalfad village near Amritsar, about 100 Hindus and Sikhs had been slaughtered mercilessly. More than 60 to 70 young girls were abducted. About 1,000 Muslims attacked the village named Dapai, though this was not without resistance. In Ghazipur village, 14 Muslims were killed. Members of Muslim National Guard clashed with the soldiers who had rushed in under the leadership of Major General T.W. Rees on seeing the gravity of the situation. Muslims were attacking as if fighting a war with the army in the smoky environment of that evening. This piece of news was sent through a telegram to Lahore, the capital of Punjab, a few miles away. Sir Evan Jenkins, the governor of Punjab, read the telegram carefully. He called his ADC immediately and asked him to impose press censorship on the whole of Punjab province. This was done to prevent the newspapers in Punjab from reporting on the awful bloodshed that was taking place in Amritsar and surrounding areas on Saturday, August 9th. In the Far East, preparations were afoot for Gandhiji's evening prayer at Sodepur Ashram near Calcutta. Dr. Sunil Basu carried out a thorough checkup of Gandhiji before the prayer. The same Sunil Babu had conducted Gandhiji's checkup in 1939 when the latter had stayed there for about a month. After the checkup, Sunil Babu remarked, Gandhiji's health has remained stable over the past 8 years. There is no difference. His weight during his month-long stay in 1939 ranged between 112 to 114 pounds and it is 113 pounds now. His heart and lungs are functioning properly. His pulse rate is 68. In short, his health is excellent. That day, Gandhiji's prayer was centered on the situation prevailing in Calcutta. He said that both Hindus and Muslims were behaving madly and added, and I quote, I will not go into what the Muslim League cabinet has done, but I will keep a keen eye on how the Congress's Chief Minister Praful Chandra Ghosh, who is taking charge of divided Bengal from August 15, runs the state. I will make sure that atrocities are not committed against Muslims under the Congress rule. I am going to Naukhali, but after calm is restored in Calcutta. In Delhi, a large crowd had gathered at the Ramlila Maidan that evening. The Independence Week was to start from that day. It was a Saturday. Independence was expected by next Friday. Enthusiasm at this was accompanied with a keen desire to hear the speeches of Congress leaders. Nehru, Patel and other leaders were slated to speak before the crowd. The program was organized by Delhi Congress Committee. Therefore, only the local leaders of Delhi province spoke in the beginning. Later, when Nehru and Patel arrived at the venue, the mood of the crowd changed surprisingly. Lighting of enthusiasm struck the people who started chanting slogans in high-pitched voices. When Patel was speaking, the entire Ramlila Maidan listened to him intently. Patel tried to explain his helplessness behind partition, but the people were not convinced, nor did they like it. Hence, there was not much response after Patel's speech. The same happened after Nehru's speech too. Delhi became the capital of displaced people at that time. Refugees who had lost their homes, belongings, properties were present in large number in Delhi. They wanted to hear something concrete from Nehru and Patel. But it did not happen that evening. Nehru raised the issue of international politics. He wrote that foreign powers would be wiped out of this continent of Asia. However, this did not move the people much. The dynamism and enthusiasm that was visible at the start of the rally, the first day of Independence Week, was fast waning. In the heart of India, senior pracharaks and functionaries were seated in the Mahal office of Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh at Nagpur. The map of undivided India was kept in front of them. An intensive brainstorming session was in progress over what would be the line of partition and how to save Hindus and Sikhs beyond that line. This was August 9th, 1947.